Every single person around Donald Trump insists on learning this lesson the hard way, that he sees you as disposable. He will fire you. He will throw you under the bus. He will implicate you in crimes and leave you to fend for yourself. And the latest victim is Kash Patel. Because after Donald Trump just suffered the worst week of his presidency so far, with resignations, votes to release the Epstein files, all hell breaking loose, Trump decided he would take things back into his own hands, because resignations, that went too far. But firings, yeah, that'll surely do the trick, but it won't. And that is why Kash Patel is going to get screwed. New reporting is showing that Donald Trump is about to make a big shakeup in his administration, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way and supporting our work. Now, before we get into what's next for Kash Patel's fate and what this all has to do with the Epstein files, I want to start with one of the major reasons why Kash is on the chopping block today, and that is this clip and breakdown from Chris Hayes.
Slashing government spending, he had one specific idea about how to do it.
Chris Wray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go to vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes off. Just a thought.
Go take their money. Chris Wray doesn't need a private jet.
We're not the guys running around on private jets. And somebody maybe in Congress should ask for how many flights on a private jet Director Comey took, or my predecessor Director Wray took, and how many personal trips they took.
Don't knock it until you try it. That's what I say about private jets. The use of government jets for personal travel by former FBI director was sort of an obsession of Patel's for years. In 2023, Patel called former director Chris Wray a, quote, government gangster for his jet usage, which is why it was surprising to see Patel repost this photo on Sunday of him in his FBI-branded hoodie out on a date with his country singer girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. Now, Wilkins was performing at a Penn State sporting event on Saturday. And if you're wondering how Kash Patel got there to support her, well, public flight logs show he took a taxpayer-funded government jet. Later that night, that same jet flew from Pennsylvania to Nashville, where Patel's girlfriend lives. Now, I should know, FBI directors are required by law to use government planes for security purposes. It's a point Patel raised in May when Senate Democrats last inquired about his jet usage.
Oh, this is a great point. Do you know why I have to use a private jet? Because Congress made it mandatory.
Okay. In April 5th, well, we didn't make it mandatory that you go to UFC games with Mel Gibson.
Are you telling me I can't go home?
You got to use some judgment here.
I love the logic there. I had to go to the event. So what? I'm supposed to stay there? Well, you don't have to go to every event. Patel's lack of judgment when using a taxpayer-funded plane for private excursions.
It is kind of funny, the idea of Donald Trump being mad at anyone in his administration, whether it be Pete Hegseth's unnecessary and ex-defensive security, whether it be Kristi Noem giving out government contracts to film terrible TV ads to her best friends, her husband, her chief of staff, her communications advisors, or of course, Kash Patel flying around on a nice private jet. Donald Trump is the grifter-in-chief. If the leadership is top-down in this administration, then he is leading on how to steal from the American public and profit off of their position in government. But of course, Donald Trump can't admit that that is the reason why he's mad with Kash Patel. I don't even know if it's the reason why he's mad with Kash Patel, but there's one reason that he should be. And of course, that is the bungling of the release of the Epstein files. Now, Kash Patel's inability to be transparent with the American people, the thing he promised to do, it's not a problem for Donald Trump. That is exactly what he wanted. But it is a problem for his base. Donald Trump understands that for the first time in his political career, there is an issue that MAGA is breaking with him on his attempt to steal the 2020 election. They backed him. Still, an overwhelming majority of Republicans believe that Joe Biden stole the 2020 election, that there was election interference at least, which is baffling that we live in a country in which people believe that shit. But what Donald Trump cannot convince them of is that his hands are clean when it comes to Epstein. Both his relationship in the 90s, the two, of course, the cover-up in his first administration, and now, the cover-up here. Donald Trump cannot change their minds. And it is why he has to throw someone under the bus. Now, I find it fanciful that Kash Patel was operating independently of Donald Trump when making decisions about Epstein. But of course, Donald Trump doesn't care about what's real and what's true. He wants a PR spin. And that is why, amidst this MAGA civil war, we are getting this report. Breaking Trump considering to fire Kash. Bethel report says Donald Trump is weighing whether or not to fire Kash Bethel as the FBI director in the coming months, reported Ms. Now on Tuesday. The report cited 3 people with knowledge of the situation who requested anonymity and ordered to speak freely. White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson released a statement to Ms. Now in response to their report, saying President Trump has assembled the most talented and impressive administration in history. I'm trying not to laugh right now. And they are doing an excellent job carrying out the president's agenda. FBI Director Patel is a critical member of the president's team, and he is working tirelessly to restore integrity to the FBI. Now, I'm not even going to respond to what a joke it is that Kash Patel would be restoring integrity to fucking anything. What I will say, though, is I find it quite interesting that the week after Pam Bondi, alongside Donald Trump, suffers the worst week of her political career, reports start to trickle out. There are 2 main people responsible for the cover-up of the Epstein files. Of course, outside of Donald Trump. I mean, there are 2 individuals in this administration who have all the access, who have all the ability to release these files. It's Kash Patel and it's Pam Bondi. So, what does that lead you to believe is, are these reports, these people speaking on the basis of anonymity, are they within Donald Trump's White House? Are they within Pam Bondi's DOJ? Is the fight between Kash Patel and Donald Trump? Or has Donald Trump told his little kiddos, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, you 2 fight amongst yourselves, and you decide who my sacrificial lamb is. You decide who gets thrown under the bus now. Did he say that explicitly? I don't know. Probably not. But is Pam Bondi thinking that? Yes. Is Kash Patel thinking that? Well, he better start if he wants to save his job, because Donald Trump thinks one thing of his base. Not that he needs to provide for them. Not that he needs to respond with urgency to their political demands. No, Donald Trump thinks one thing, a MAGA, and that's that they're stupid, that they're idiots, that they're morons. It's the one thing that Donald Trump is right about. They're stupid. And Donald Trump believes that if he can sacrifice a Bondi, if he can sacrifice Patel, if he can fire them and say it's their fault, just they'll go along with it and say, do you know what, dear leader Donald, you were always fighting for transparency on the Epstein files. As I roll my eyes, you told Republicans to vote for that bill forcing the release. But it was Kash Patel's fault, or it was Pam Bondi's fault. But now, it looks like Donald Trump has decided on Kash Patel. I personally think it was Bondi leaking this information. We already know that they have had their spats within inside the White House. That Kash Patel and Dan Bongino both threatened to quit at the beginning of this Epstein saga if Pam Bondi stuck around. But no one has gone further in blocking these Epstein files than Pam Bondi. So Donald Trump will probably keep her around for a little bit, as long as she's useful. And that's the lesson that these guys never learn. That you stick around until you're no longer useful and then throws you out. You're done for. And it looks like that is the fate that is about to befall Kash Patel. And I'm gonna get a kick out of it. Honestly, I think it's pretty funny, that one. MAGA would buy that. That 2, Kash Patel didn't realize that Donald Trump never cared about him. And 3, that Donald Trump thinks this is gonna solve his Epstein problem. It's not Donald Trump. Firing Kash Patel will only bring more attention to how far all of these people have gone to cover up the Epstein files. So have at it. Donald, go ahead. Fire away. It is not going to work. Firing people as every single Republican, it seems, in Congress is threatening to resign, does not give you your power back. Donald Trump is desperate right now, looking for something to hold on to ground him. That's what his threats against Democrats in Congress were, the death threats. Something to ground him. If I go to war with Mark Kelly and Ruben Gaggio and Alyssa Slotkin, my base will get behind me. They didn't. They actually were disturbed by what you said. Some, of course, liked it. But those people aren't a cult. That didn't work for Donald Trump. Now he's thinking, I have a healthcare plan 2 weeks away. That shit's not flying. Even Mike Johnson said. So Donald Trump says, I gotta fire someone. But Donald, it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna help you. Every attempt to cover up the Epstein files, whether it be a blockade, a diversion, a look over there, a firing does nothing. It does nothing. And why? Because we won't stop talking about it. And we know the truth, especially as it relates to Kash Patel, certainly. Certainly Adam shifted.
That they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of the California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said I'm the most transparent FBI director in history. 33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth.
You cannot distract, Donald. You cannot hide, because we will continue to call you out on this show. And if you want to support, that's always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. If you want to hang out with the show on another platform, you can follow me on Instagram at @JDCotrella. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, and happy early Thanksgiving. I'll see you soon.